Raise your hand if you want to be or continue to be a professional speaker. A paid speaker. Outstanding. Now raise your hand if you record yourself every time you speak. Bravo. Bravo. Former world champion Darren LaCroix would say it's the same question. And I know some of you can't stand to hear yourself speak, but you got to cross that bridge before you sell us on listening. So, good luck with that. There are many types of speakers. Alfred talked about it. At National Speakers Association, many speakers are trainers, are entrepreneurs who use speaking to feed their business, to augment their business. Some are true headliners, some are keynoters, some are celebrities. Many are what I like to call anonymous celebrities. They're not known in the national spotlight. They're not known in the local community. They walk the earth freely without intrusion. Yet in their own unique markets, they're rock stars. That's a nirvana. To me, that would be the ideal balance of ego gratification and still being able to be yourself in public. So that's exciting. There's interesting stuff when you look at the types of speakers. What types of speakers are you? Are you an entertaining speaker? Do you juggle as you inspire the audience? Or do you deliver content-rich programs and empower understanding of complex subject matter? Anybody want to comment on what type of speaker they are? And by the way, you each should have a handout there. Madam President, you've earned it. You've earned it by what you're going to do over the next year for this club. So I applaud all you leaders. There's nothing more sacred than not sacred, but scarce, or than committed leadership. So I congratulate all you club leaders on your new roles. Go ahead.
I think I'm in the second group. But I would like to learn to juggle. That's a good
Segment. So more content-rich material, right? Good stuff. Anybody else?
Motivational.
Motivational. So you inspire, you motivate them, and you get them going out the door. It's hard to be motivated. That's good. People think, oh, that's so, 1970s, 1980s. If you did the research on motivational speaker, that keyword and what it drives, it's still very much in demand. What shows another one of you ladies? Yes?
I like to feel like I've taught them something like a teaching, like do a little research on something that's maybe new in the news, like right now the word woke, W-O-K-E. That's new in the field, and I would like to research it and understand it and then give a speech on it.
So you like to educate, but you also like to be on the edge of innovative thinking and forward thinking or new ideas? Excellent, excellent. Yes, ma'am?
Hi, I'm MC.
Excellent, I love that.
Yes, I did. I just still do.
Outstanding.
And I've used my art background and actor and theater to do that. So that's good.
I like to refer to something called the speaker's trifecta, the intersection of your passion, your life experience, and market demand. That, I believe, is where you can find true opportunity. Okay, so you ready to get started? Everybody got their hand out there? You got your name on it, hopefully, and you can put your topic on there. I'll tell you this, if you're still wrestling with what your topic is, you can consider this. You can speak to any audience for as long as you want on any topic, and then you die. What would that topic be? But don't worry, no one's going to die. Hopefully you make eternal life. So I hope you get this. But yeah, we have limited time, so in a sense, it's a fair question. Okay, so you got your topic. The number one key ingredient to sticking your speaker plan is congruence. Congruence. C-O-N-G-R-U-E-N-C-E. I hope I spelled that correctly. Meaning harmony and compatibility. Find a swim lane that embodies who you are. Your values, your experience, your approach, your education level, your volume. How clinical is your program? There's countless dimensions. But gauge for congruence and adjust as needed. The greater the congruence, the more you can focus. The more in line, the greater the synergy. And it's not about complexity, it's really about simplifying. It's not about going broader, it's about going deeper. Go deeper on your subject matter. And that's advice that I've heard from many professional speakers that are Hall of Fame speakers. That everyone's, you need to find your swim lane. And it needs to be congruent with who you are and what your experience is. And the more you can get that into one lane, the more focus you'll have, the more synergy you'll have, the more success you'll have, the more you're able to build it. Does that make sense to you? Okay. Anybody want to comment on it from your perspective as a speaker?
I'm rephrasing that in my own mind as specialize.
Special
As opposed to generalize and always get exploring something, stop exploring, pick a side and start swinging.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Can't turn anybody on unless you're willing to turn some people off, right? You gotta have people want an opinion. They want a voice. Yes.
Have you ever known speakers that have a transition level? Because I have all these subjects I want to talk about and I can't narrow it down to the topic.
Well, I would say that the concept that the clock is ticking should help. There's got to be some urgency in the decision at some point because, like we all learn in life, we can't do everything. We have to select and make a choice.
Well, what I'm asking you is, do you know speakers that go through 2 or 3?
Oh.
Or
Please. Most of the professional speakers in the NSA who are successful, who aren't like home runs or didn't wake up with their legs off or their drug habit or something else that was catastrophic that pushed them into life. Most of those people came through a journey that was hard and it was a grind. And it wasn't necessarily linear. I mean, you look at some of the best speakers out there today and you go back 5 years and look at their material, back 10 years and look at their material. It wasn't just dating from the perspective. It was immature compared to where they polished it up now. So that's why it's about persistence. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But there's no question speakers go through transformations, just like characters evolve in life in a movie, right? So I encourage you to embrace that and to look to close a door in order to find a way to open a door. Make sure doors are vacuum. You shut a door, there's going to be another one for you somewhere, right? Okay.
Kevin,
Yes.
do you think the pandemic will change anything impact
It's
the equation?
It's massive because all the live events were shut down. So here's the thing, just like a lot of industries, challenges to create opportunity. There's new ways of creating value now. A lot of it is virtual. But we'll see how it comes back. But it's interesting. We're going to get into platforms in a little bit in the brief time we have. So let's go to item number 2. It's definitely constant change in the speaking industry. And it's gone through cycles too where it's been a struggle. Back to like 2008, everybody was challenged in the speaking industry because of the recession and the lack of corporate events and all the pressure that was put on the fiscal accountability for these boondoggles, as it were, right? So there's been lots of threats to the speaking industry, but it's a great field. Okay, I'm going to grab my water if you don't mind. Should have brought it with me. I'm recuperating from 5 broken ribs, so bear with me.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Rough Zoom meeting.
I'm so glad we did the eat thing.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we got out of the sun. When it was 6 o'clock, I turned the corner and out of the sun. Okay, number 2, key ingredient in your speaker plan, focus. Focus. You spend so much time thinking about your offering, developing your message, and building out your arsenal of content. But let me ask you this. Would you rather be good at speaking or good at the business of speaking? Good delivery and audience engagement are critical for speaker success, but so is market engagement. Would you rather be good at speaking or good at the business of speaking? Would you rather be good at engaging the audience or engaging the market? The person in the front row and the people in the back and everybody else? Or the meeting planners and the people who book the gigs you want? Would you rather be good at speaking or the business of speaking? I think it's a fair question. And I think it exposes a huge gap for speakers, is that they don't know how, we don't know how, to engage the market in a productive manner. So lead with benefits. Right there on your guide, your benefits. Somebody tell me one of the benefits of their program. What can you do for my organization? I'm a sales and leadership speaker. I'm a seller. Most of my speaking is done in small rooms. I work for big tech. I work for one of them. Yes. Segue there.
I can improve your company's relationships with your employees by focusing on, I'm interested.
So that's employee engagement, that's employee retention, that's employee satisfaction. So you can improve those things, that's great. it's a clear benefit. You can improve employee engagement. That's a very, just like motivational speaker, that's a huge vogue need the last 5 years, right? So
Let's get the best employees.
now it's about recruiting the best, or identifying top talent, or something along those lines, right? So you need to get to the essence of your benefits. And it's really the question, so what or why? And play the game with yourself. Like the ping pong table that sits up, you play by yourself, right? It's like, well, I improve customer satisfaction. So what? What does that mean? Well, it means you don't have to find so many new customers because you keep the ones you got. Well, what does that mean? What's the implication? Well, it means your customers are happier, your people are happier, everybody's making more money, and you're growing faster, and it's, spend so much on marketing. Do those sound like things you're interested in? You've got to get to your benefits. It's not always easy. Sometimes peel the onion back. Play that ping pong with yourself and just be brutal with yourself and say, so what? Who cares? Until you get to the numbers. Then, that's what, in my world, that's what I have to do. I have to develop what we kind of consider high-value proposals for big tech on different investments in new states. And so there's a lot to it, but it's really, what I really get paid for is because I'm willing to provoke the conversation with new executives, line of business, and technical leadership in large companies, and be able to sustain that conversation for progressive discussion. And so that's speaking that I do a lot today. And so, but if you lead with benefits, that's so important. It'll help you engage the market more effectively. Did it make sense that the analogy of would you rather be good at speaking or the business of speaking? It's a big dynamic, right? Imagine you were great here and you're horrible here. Who cares now? Okay, so that's the so what or the why. Now about who cares. Who is the decision maker? I speak on sales and leadership. My decision maker is the vice president of sales. They don't travel in herds. They just don't. It can be hard to get them together. And every minute I spend talking to titles other than vice president of sales, I'm not talking about my technical work. Now I'm talking about when I do speak on sales and leadership outside of my professional day job. But every minute I'm talking to people other than vice president of sales, I'm wasting because that is my decision. And so that's what I'm talking about focus. Because if I focus on my target contact and avoid all this other noise and all this other activity, all this other wasted time, I can gain more speed and traction. Now, focus is not just about your target contact. Focus is also about the platforms. Our modern, social, mobile world offers many different platforms for us to go invest our energy to share our message. And the reality is, each one of them can be its own vortex. Any one of them can consume you. So you've got to decide what you're going to do. My recommendation is pick 2 or 3. 2 or 3. Whether it's a blog or videos or a website or Facebook or Instagram. You can participate everywhere. You can have a presence everywhere, but if you're everywhere, you're most likely a ghost town somewhere, and that's not really a good thing in my opinion. So pick 2 or 3 to prioritize. Does anybody want to comment on for their topic which platforms? Or let's go back to contacts. I don't think I asked you on contacts. Tell me about contacts. Which contact do you think is the appropriate target contact for you to go and tell about the benefits of your program to try to get a speaking gig or another program with that company? Anybody? For your topic, the contacts?
TED Talks.
TED Talks.
Most people who have a love of their sport or whatever they love, they want to come and teach about. Whether it's art or healing or whatever.
Okay.
They're fun to listen to.
What target so okay, that's great, but I don't know if I can relate that one to the concept of the target contact. Like if I'm trying to get a speaking gig around sales or leadership, it's the vice president of sales. That's the guy who makes the decision, he's got the authority, he's got the budget, he knows what his team needs. It's not going to be anybody else in his organization doing what that guy needs, right, or that woman needs. Yes.
Might be meeting organizers.
Okay. Yeah. Meeting planners. If you're trying to go into associations, it could be meeting planners and other committee members. We did a presentation at Speakers Bureau a couple months ago around associations, which I consider the easiest path, the smoothest path to go from public speaking to paid speaking, because a lot of it's free up front. You go to a local association meeting like this and you speak and you bring value and you get in touch with their true needs, and then you go to another one across town or across state And you do the same thing, and all of a sudden you've got a report with some key people there in the state that you go speak at the state meeting. You may not pay for any of that other than a meal. But now, you engage and you put your content in their rag, in their newsletter, in their newspaper, whatever they put out every year, every month, every week, whenever it is. You get articles on their website, and then you speak at their national association meeting, and now they're paying you. And now you've got cachet in that industry. So that's the association journey. That's a nice little smooth journey. It's a lot because you don't get paid on the front end, it makes it smoother. But some people prefer that level of market integration rather than going trying to knock on doors saying, "You pay me $5,000, let me talk to you." Okay, what about platforms? Anybody want to comment on their topic, which platforms they feel they should prioritize? Yes, go ahead.
I think the hottest thing are podcasts.
Yes.
And they're very easy to maneuver through, and anyone can do it on their phone, right?
A lot of strong data points around the market for that, and so much bigger than the video market because people just have to listen, and there's huge demand. There's lots of new channels to put that out there in an easy way that people can consume it. And the creation, I mean, they've said for the last couple of years, content creation, there's been a democratization of it because it's easier. Doesn't mean it's perfect or that it's quality enough, but it's easier. Yeah, podcasts can be powerful. Again, to me, it's important to pick 2 or 3. I'm not saying which are right for you. I can help you with that a little bit, but it's just an opinion. And then you've got to sustain the effort. Because again, if you're going to go create a website or a Facebook page, the website's different because that can just be an anchor point. But a Facebook page or another kind of profile, and you're never active, that's not really good. Like I have passive brands, my video for business growth, my power sales training, they're passive. I don't really do much with them. It doesn't bug me too much, but kind of does. And the other thing, I'm still working on this analogy when it comes to platforms, but a concept of lakes and streams. And it's not a perfect analogy, so you got to kind of hang in there with me. Some of these platforms are more stickiness, they're more anchored like a lake, as in a blog. A blog, it's there, it's the same place, people come back to it, the content's there, it's recurring. It's not a stream. It's not like Facebook. It's just a stream going through. Yeah, you can have a Facebook business page. You can put stuff out there that people can go back and look at. But mostly Facebook people are consuming content as a stream. They're sitting by a stream just watching stuff go. They're not, the lasting, there's not the compounded value that I believe you get from something I would consider more like a lake, a blog or a YouTube channel or something like that where it's an anchor to your brand. And you can continue over time, a month from now, a year from now, have search engine optimization, so Google searches will, still prioritize some of your message there if it's relevant, compelling, and can rank, right? So to me, it's more important to invest in those kind of anchor platforms, in my opinion, like a blog or YouTube, than the streaming stuff, because it's kind of somewhat trivial in the sense of it's gone by. Not everyone agrees with that. But here's at the end of the day, when you're talking about engaging the contacts with benefits, there's so many check boxes. I mean, we think it's easier now because of content, everybody can do content. At the end of the day, you need a website, video, so many different things. But here's all you really need. You just need 2 things. Because all you really need is something to say and something to send. Simple as that. You got something to say, so when you get the person on the phone or in the email, you're saying something. Call to action, leading with benefits, poking, provoking, something. Trying to get that ping pong ball to come back, right? And then once you have that conversation, you need something to send. Here's the information that you need to confirm me. That's all you really need. And then you can grow from there. But getting started, you just need something to say and something to send. Okay, let me see if I can figure out where I am.
Does that mean you're, like if you had a podcast or a YouTube, that's what you'd be sending them, the link to that? Or
I think that's a great, any kind of content you have, people don't repurpose content enough. Because you do a piece, even like this, I can take slices of it, little pieces of it, throw it out here, throw it out there, or I just do one video and you just place it somewhere and be done with it. That's what most people do. Hard, but you can slice and repurpose content. But yes. Anybody want to comment from their perspective? Can I pause from that and give you, I'm going to give you some outliers. What are we doing on time? Can I ask you what we're doing on time?
That's fine. Yeah, we have at least 15 minutes.
Okay. I'm going to pause from the program of congruence and focus. We still got a third key ingredient to stick in your speaker plan. And can I just give you some outlier stuff? Okay. Sure. Well, first of all, when I talk about leading with benefits and engaging in the target context, this really is an outlier stuff. This is like the goal here, so sorry to throw you off there. It's about persistence. It really is. It's just about sustaining. And here's why. Because the marketplace is self-sharpening. The marketplace is self-sharpening. If you're going after these contacts with these benefits, you will get results. If you don't, you'll get mounds of feedback about what you need to change in your offering or your message or how you're going to market or who you're targeting. The marketplace is self-sharpening. You just need to continue to stick your nose to the wheel and grind away. There's no question about it. Have you heard the story of Arnold's belly? Arnold's belly. It's not my, I'm going to tell you a story of Arnold's belly. It's not my story. It's his story. You may know him as Terminator or Governator or maybe somebody you can't stand. I get it. But long before he was any of those things, he was Mr. Universe. He was Mr. Universe. And before he was Mr. Universe, he had a problem. He had a big problem. He couldn't lose the weight around his waist. So one day, out of sheer frustration, he goes into his closet and cuts the midriff out of all of his shirts. And from that day forward, his biggest problem was front and center. Everywhere he went, that was his problem. That's Arnold's belly. That's my interpretation of the marketplace as self-sharpening. Because when I put stuff out there, sometimes it's not great. To me, that's Arnold's belly. The marketplace is giving me feedback about what's good and what's bad, and I'm trying to get better and trying to get better. I'm persisting. And so I encourage you to do the same thing. Go for it. Who cares? Okay, that's Arnold's belly. Now, when it comes to dinner speaking, so we're speaking at a dinner. If I've seen it once, I've seen it 1,000 times. You can have a $15,000 speaker and a $15 an hour busboy or server, and that's the one that's getting the attention. Yep. I've seen it 1,000 times. So it's very hard to speak during dinner. Yep. This is great. This venue's been great, and I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys. Okay. The cool thing about, I believe, paid speaking, professional speaking, a few things. One is, you can just be yourself and address what you love and just go after that market and be that anonymous celebrity right down in a deep little segment that's truly who you are. You can do it almost forever. I mean, you could be 1,000 years old and they could be propping you up here with, connected to everything and put a spotlight on you, shoot you from back in the room, you still be speaking as long as you're compelling and relevant. Go look on NSA. They're speakers you think they'd walk past. They're grinding it out. Some of them are leading the pack. So that's a nice thing. There's so many things you can do as a speaker. There's one thing you can't do as a professional speaker. Only one thing. And that's go long. You have to end on time. You must end on time. Now that sounds easy, okay, I get an hour, you're contracted for 90 minutes, it's $5 grand, 10 grand, 15 grand, whatever it is. I got 40 minutes of content, I'm going to engage the audience, I know how to end on time. That seems simple, right? But let me tell you how it works in the real world from my experience. Is you book an hour, you plan on the thing, 40, 50 minutes, you go wrap up early, everybody's good. And right before you go on, ladies and gentlemen, you got 20 minutes.
Yep.
You got 20 minutes. Oh, you got to get off at 11, dude. You got 20 minutes. Sorry, you're off at 11. I don't care what you do, you're off at 11. And you look, and it's 20 minutes. And taking your 10 pounds of stuff and sticking it in their 5-pound bag ain't the answer. It's less is more and engage the audience. Less is more and engage the audience, and as you're closing and say, hey, we didn't have time for XYZ, my best. But be sure to bring me back to your next meeting because I want to tell you all about XYZ and my other best, Leave them one more. They put you in that spot. It's not the end of the world, but the answer is not to try to go fast and go 30 slides. Okay, just hang in there, guys. No, less is more. Engage the audience, have fun, and tease the heck out of them and come back with another engagement. It's psychological, basically. I mean, it seems crazy that you want to try to just cram it down their throats. But that was always my instinct. I was pretty good at it. I could quit fast and took off. Okay, here's another. Speaking. You gotta end on time. They say you gotta be funny. Well, only if you want to get paid. It happens. Okay. Travel. You know what percentage of time most professional speakers speak in their local markets? It's like zero.
Yeah.
It's like zero. a prophet is not honored in his own town.
Yeah.
That's biblical, but the guy said himself. I don't know how to address that, because when you go out that door, there's 21 million people right behind us in Southern California. California is one of the biggest countries in the world when it comes to economics, biggest markets. So you can't tell me that my hometown is all of California. And you know, this is different than my hometown up down in South County. Right? You've got to find a way to be okay with that. And maybe it means planes, and maybe it means finding your market, and when you're looking for congruency and focus, you're actually okay deciding, yeah, it's Phoenix, and yeah, it's Seattle, and yeah, it's Denver, and where else, right? So it's something you need to be aware of, because it's not just a comment a prophet isn't honored in their own hometown. It's that, well, I was posted on the Facebook for National Speakers Association. What percentage of your business is in the local market? 0.00001 One guy, Todd Novak, Orange County. Oh, 90%. That's what. Well, that's another beautiful thing about speaking is you create the life you want. You create the business model you want. You create the routines, the acceptable engagements you want. So you get to craft that to some degree, not to a large degree, but to some degree. Here's another one that's not congruent with me. Outlier is it's very important. I'm trying to integrate it into the fabric of who I am, but it's a hard one for me because I'm more of a under-promise, over-deliver guy. But it's make a big, bold claim. Make a big, bold claim. I've talked to the folks at Procter & Gamble about this. I mean, they're marketing geniuses for decades. It's about a big, bold claim. People want to buy a big, bold claim. Lose 30 pounds in 30 days. Whatever it is. It's a hard one for me because, again, that's not necessarily who I am, but it's what the market wants. Make a big, bold claim. Don't be bashful about that. Now, I really haven't talked about branding or stories and that kind of thing, and I certainly haven't shared my own story. I will say a couple things if you don't mind. Because I've been in sales my whole life, I'm in tech mostly, you heard some of the introduction. I have had a couple entrepreneurial journeys. One is I did a company called Empower Me Photo. We did image revision for weight loss. You'd send us your picture in underwear or shorts, and we'd make you look like how you could look at your next step. And give you sticky back photos. And we were in Shape magazine. It was kind of cool. I did a book called Weight Loss Empowerment, 50 Ways to Lose Your Luggage. Which, despite its catchy subtitle, is not a list of ways to lose luggage, but a focus around how to use the power of visualization for weight loss. It's on Amazon still, and last I looked, I had more than a dozen reviews, and all of them are 5 stars, so it sells every month 1 or 2 of them. But, you know, this book's actually worth something because it's not in print anymore. But online, I think it's like $5 or $6. But would anybody like to? And Carol, me too. I thought you'd jump on me in the front row. I'm going to ask you to pass it back if you want. But you see me later, maybe I'll. Sorry, and then I did. I really couldn't get it to scale. And then sales is really my background, so I did a company called Empowered Sales Training, and I still sustain. And I've got here a free guide called The Top 10 Reasons Sales Professionals Fail on the Phone. There you go, sir. And any of you can get that for free online at empoweredSalesTraining.com. And then I also am big on videos that I've produced and published hundreds of videos each year. In our first year, we did 500 videos of a company I started a few years ago as an entrepreneurial kind of thing. It's kind of a passive brand for me, but I really am excited about video. It's 10 simple steps for video success. Would anybody like this sheet for video success for business growth? There you go. And you guys can get that online. And yeah, I mostly sell tech, but I try to develop some branding and other things that I can break out on my own. I'm still working on that stuff. So that's my story. You ready to get back on plan and finish the workshop? Okay, number 3. What's item 1? No, it's not item 1, the number 1 ingredient? Anybody? It's like the sexiest word in the world. Congruence. Item 2? Focus. Focus. And item number 3, stick this in your speaker plan, confidence. I know, a no-brainer, yeah? Nobody here suffers from imposter syndrome, right? Yeah, right. Yeah. I don't care if you're a kitten. They want the line. You need to see the line in the mirror. And I'm not talking about your delivery style. I'm talking about your conviction for your value for the organization you're trying to approach. I'm the greatest salesperson this company's ever seen. I've said that thousands of times in my career because as a mantra when I go to work, when I grab the door, that's what I say to myself. I'm the greatest salesperson this company's ever seen. Was I probably almost never, but sometimes I probably was. But I made president's clubs in some very competitive companies, and I've had some other achievements in my sales career that require success, so that's exciting for me. But I don't say that to myself as like a congratulating ego thing. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. I've got to be productive. I've got to be committed. I've got to be focused on the customer. I've got to be organized. I've got to be professional. That's a challenge for me. That puts me in my mindset. What I didn't know up until a couple of years ago, that all these years I've been doing that, is I've been using something called the alter ego effect. Have you heard of the alter ego effect? I strongly encourage you to invest in it as a concept. It's Clark Kent coming out of the phone booth as Superman. It's Kobe Bryant and Black Mamba. Have you heard of Sasha Fierce? This girl is a sweet little girl, beautiful girl, choir girl, Christian, growing up in the church, and then she started to go mainstream, but it didn't align with her spirit. So she developed an alter ego by the name of Sasha Fierce. And that's who she performed as. She wasn't little Beyonce, she was Sasha Fierce. And then finally, one of her more recent albums, she came out, the title of the album is Sasha Fierce. She came out and says, that's my alter ego, that's who I've been this whole time when I'm on stage, because it didn't align with who I need to be personally. And then, as like people think about Superman, it's actually who she is. She feels she actually is Sasha Fierce now. She's become her alter ego. So that's a transformation as a speaker. But I encourage you to look at alter ego as a way to approach the market. Because your audience wants you to be larger than life, right? You don't need to be a little larger than life. Zig Ziglar said, for every prospect you lose because you're too enthusiastic, you lose 100 because you're not enthusiastic enough. Okay, they want the lion, not the kitten. So that's the three: congruence, focus, and confidence. Confidence, not that you can give a talk, but that you can deliver value. The legendary Jim Cathcart said, it's not about you, it's not even about your content, and it's not even about your audience. It's about what your content can do for the audience, about the impact it can have on your audience. So congruence, focus, and confidence. And as we close, I want to keep it real when it comes to speaker plans or any plans. As Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until somebody gets punched in the face. Well, sometimes the speaker land punch in the face is a blow to your ego from a failed event, or maybe you got to bang a credit card 5 or 10K or 20 or 30K while you develop your message, right? I mean, it can be kind of hard, so you need to be sure you're committed to it. But here's the real truth. This is the real truth. You are not a speaker. You are not a speaker. It's just one channel. Do it right and it can feed your funnel. But you also likely need products, processes, or other streams to make it a real viable engagement. Right? Right. Okay. Can I give you an action item as a close? Sure. Simple action item, everybody? Okay. Whatever your topic is, think of the premier thought leader, or thought leaders, 1 or 2 or 3, whatever. Like motivational speakers, probably Tony Robbins. If you're interior design, maybe it's Martha Stewart, or whatever the modern equivalent of Martha Stewart is. I don't know, it's probably Martha Stewart. Ooh, anybody got a topic? You want to tell who the thought leader is that comes to mind for their topic?
John Wooden.
John Wooden, coaching, right?
Well, the teacher.
Teacher, okay, okay.
Success pyramid.
Not sure. I know Zig Ziglar still puts out stuff, but I'm not sure. I don't know if John Wooden's organization still messages his message or not. It's active.
I think they do. Very big so.
Yeah.
Very good. So,
He's more leadership.
Here's the action item. I want you to, once a day, twice a day, check them. So you start to see how often they put stuff out on different platforms. And then the real action item is, I want you to comment on some of their stuff. I want you to make it remarkable. As you check them daily, after a week or so, you start to figure out when they post stuff, and I want you to post quicker. As soon as they post, I want you to comment something remarkable. See if you can swim in those waters. And then comment on some of the top comments. Go back a couple months and comment on some of the top comments. On your topic, engage that thought leader think tank. That's that pond, if you will, at that level, and just kind of hang there. It's not a lot of work. It should be exciting for you. It's your topic. I mean, if it's not, you might want to go back and think about the topic again, right? But do that, and it's amazing how much you may be able to raise your profile. Because if you're truly innovative, if you're truly making remarkable comments, people are going to remark on those. And you're going to raise your profile and get connected with a higher grade of ecosystem. Okay. Thank you. I'm Kevin Graham. Thank you very much. And may God bless you on your speaker journey.